So good morning and welcome to today's webinar for Essex businesses. Thank you all very much for taking time out of your busy schedules to attend. So my name is Jennifer Tolhurst. I'm the Lord Lieutenant of Essex and I represent His Majesty the King in the county. Amongst my duties as Lord Lieutenant, I play a role in helping to facilitate and celebrate achievement, whether it be in the voluntary sector or in this instance, business and industry in Essex. Today's session will focus on peer-to-peer support and the positive benefits of being honoured with the King's Award for Enterprise. The King's Award for Enterprise is a highly prestigious awards programme, respected across the globe for UK businesses who excel at innovation, international trade, sustainable development, or promoting opportunity through social mobility. These awards have run since 1965 and are the highest level of achievement for UK businesses. The logo that winners can use in their marketing activity is recognised globally as a mark of excellence. And previous award winners have noted many benefits from winning. So, for example, improving staff morale, building global recognition, opening new marketing opportunities, boosting turnover, and helping with the recruitment of high-quality personnel. Winning a King's Award for Enterprise also creates a tremendous opportunity to celebrate your success with your teams. This award is the highest honour available in the UK for business, and it provides genuine competitive advantage and a real differential for its winners. Today, you will hear from a number of past award winners who will share their experience of applying for these awards, as well as the benefits that have flowed as a consequence of their success. We want many more Essex businesses to join this very exclusive group of winners. Applications are now open and will close at midday on the 12th of September 2023. Many thanks for your attention, and I sincerely hope that you will find today's session helpful. Thank you.
Thank you, Jennifer. It's great to have you to help us introduce her, so really appreciate that. So without further ado, we'll move on to our past winners section, and we've got four wonderful individuals from their businesses here to share their experiences of the award with you. So first up, we've got Dr. Marcus Watson from Ground Control. Over to you, Marcus.
Fabulous. Thank you very much, Sharina, and thank you very much for inviting me and giving me a platform to talk about one of my favourite subjects, which is ground control. There you go. It's a fabulous business, and I'm glad that the late Majesty the Queen thought so as well, twice. We're an Essex-based business. We're based in Essex, in Billericay in Essex. We're double winners of the Queen's Award for Enterprise, as was, and look forward to continuing that streak in the future with the King's Awards in due course. We're privately owned. The business is owned by its employees. And our purpose is to care for our environment. The way that we go about looking after the external environment is we really focus on technology, and our two awards were for innovation and technology. So we focus on that and people, and we use technology to unlock the talents of our people who do a fantastic job for our customers every day. Now, what we do is we conduct grounds maintenance, landscaping, winter maintenance, arboriculture. We look after the external space for those customers who have got more pressing things to do. We employ 6,000 people. We've got a turnover of about 200 million, and for us the King's Award as is now is really, as Jennifer said, it's a universally recognised mark of excellence. And so all of the standards that exist, sometimes you have to explain what they are. Here you really don't, and it's made a real impact with our customers because it confirms the quality that they've bought, but it also confirms to existing and new colleagues that they're joining a fantastic company. So what I'd like to talk about today, so that's a bit of intro about us. What I'd like to focus on today is actually the process that we went through, because I think as the process opening, and you've got a few months to consider and deliver that amazing application. I wanted to share with you my own thoughts and learnings on the process. First of all, it's very rigorous. The questions are pretty searching, and you've got to answer them. You know, this isn't like a business development thing where you can perhaps enhance your answer, make it look good, but it doesn't quite answer the question. So the guys at Bays and the people who look after the process are pretty clear. You know, this is the question. How are you able to answer that? And for us, that was a really good test of saying, well, are we as good as we think we are? Because if we can't answer that question, actually, and if we can't answer it in a way which fulfills the aim of that question, then arguably we don't deserve the award. How then can we consider how best to improve our business? These are real helpful indicators to say, well, these are quality marks of excellence. How do we strive to achieve those? And so we use the process both as a way to say, well, where are we? Where could we be, and how do we bridge the gap? Which meant that in reality, that process, we went through it a few times. So we won twice, but we applied more than twice. And the feedback that we got was great. It was absolutely fantastic. So the feedback we got from those looking after the process, the civil servants, I guess at Bays or at Cabinet Office, forgive me if I'm getting the department wrong. The feedback was, you know, it wasn't a thank you for your application, better luck next time. It was really insightful. It was really helpful, and it allowed us to develop our business and get it right, you know, and improve for the next time round. The reality is that His Majesty the King wants us to do really well. He really wants Britain, the UK, to do exceptionally well and to have fantastic businesses. So the help that is provided in this way is, I found, exceptionally useful. The impact on customers and our people is beneficial. It gives us a spring in our step to know that we've achieved it. And actually, the process is important. So if perhaps at the first time, or maybe the second or third that one tries, it's part of a process, and it's part of a learning process, which you know, if you persevere, you'll get there, right? So I hope that's helpful, and look forward to any questions later on. Thank you.
Thank you, Marcus. That was great. And so we'll move on next to Suranga Herath, who is from the English Teashop.
Thank you, Jennifer, Keith, Sharina, and the team for organizing this event, and also for bringing, I think, together a like-minded community. After that thunderous start from Marcus, I'm a little lost for words, but I'll try my best. I've kind of, I come from a sustainability background, and before we get into the application, let me also briefly tell a little bit about our business. I represent English Teashop. I was co-founder and CEO. I am, in fact. English Teashop was founded in 2010 with a revolution in mind, a revolution in organic farming and employee ownership. We are today a B Corp certified 30% employee-owned business, with manufacturing happening in Sri Lanka and all of the global distribution happening out of UK. We export to about 50 countries out of UK. We are not a massive business, but we do have 300 employee owners spread out in the UK and Sri Lanka, and about 3,000 small organic farmers, primarily in the emerging world, in about 20 countries who depend on this business. So speaking of our experience with what was known as the Queen's Award pre-2023, I think one of the best lessons that I had is applying twice and failing once. So 2018 was when we applied first, and it was on the back of a very, very successful period for us. We had won multiple awards. The best until we lay our hands on the Queen's Award. We treated the UK's National Business Excellence Award in Sustainability as the pinnacle award the business had received. That was just in 2017. And there was only one sustainability award for the whole country, and we won it. A fairly small business, £20 million turnover, Winsett. And then you on the back of it, you go to the Queen's Award. You think it's a walk in the park because you get multiple winners, right? I think we took it seriously. We applied all of the principles that we had known, and a very comprehensive application, which many of us got together and prepared. It was not just one or two persons. We had a big committee. But then we failed. The application goes in 2018, and then, as Marcus said, I think I've applied for many awards, and I still can't recall the feedback that we got from the Queen's Award judges was, to say the least, insightful. It was massive. They pinned. So that was one of the key things. So applying, even if you don't win, I think is my first lesson. Just apply, because there's a lot of learning. Not only to apply better, but I think in our case, we kind of changed our approach also, which I'll try to kind of explain over the next few minutes. So I think one of the biggest mistakes we had done was we believed in a systematic approach to sustainability. We believe in creating, we had a business model which was built on sustainability, which had a creating shared value sort of thinking and loads of approaches built around it. And when we kind of try to put that on application, because sustainability is a very complex thing, sustainability might mean many different things to many people. And then when you look through the application, it's very, very confusing. I don't admit that it is an easy task. You need your entire organization behind this application. I think we had a beautiful narrative to say, but I don't think we had used enough of these few things that I'm going to push through as highlights. One is we had not used a lot of numbers, because some of us felt in 2018 that storytelling, you put too much numbers, it becomes boring. That is what we believed in 2018. We go back in 2019 with a lot of numbers. Every story, every impact that we were talking about, we wanted to showcase that we had inputs measured, we had outputs. We put through a lot of numbers, but it was still, it was not boring. It was readable, because it was narrated, with supporting evidences and testimonials and case studies. And the other thing is we had selected a plethora of sustainability initiatives. But what I heard from the judges is, we don't know where you're going. We don't know why you're doing these things. So we took a step back and developed a purpose statement. So our purpose statement came because of the Queen's Award. We thought we had a purpose, but then it was like convoluted, just all over the place. So we came with a very clear narrative, just one or two, focus areas, just two key areas, basically. We were talking about how organic farming and employee empowerment through ownership is leading to a plethora of other things. So, we could focus on the purpose, then build, systematically as to how a lot of other sustainability and a lot of other social and environmental sustainability aspects were related to. So the writing of the application became easier. And we linked that also came from a comment from the judges. We linked that to UN SDGs. I would also suggest that you link it to UK's priorities, because to show that your business is not only focusing on priorities that you had identified, but you're going behind the planet's most pressing issues and the country's most, deserving areas. So you kind of create that link when you write to SDGs and, UK's priorities and stuff like that. And then quite unknowingly, you and your supply chain might be making global impact. If you don't really look through to your supply chains, because in our case, we relied a lot on what we were achieving in the emerging world, not much what we were achieving in the UK. And that's pretty astonishing, right? UK, the hierarchy of the UK, looking as to how a small business was impacting outside of UK than the UK. And I think our application was 90% focusing on how we were making impact in the emerging world. And that came through. There's quite a lot of other things about how we transform from a business model. So look into your business model, see whether there are areas where you can highlight compromises, and those things can score points. One of the other things is using models and frameworks to support. We use creating shared value as the governing model, and then that's easier to kind of focus the story. And one of the last point I'm going to make is about, it's one thing to have great sustainability intentions and ambitions. But I think what we did a little better in 2019 was the fact that we used the business case. We used that area, the section B or C, I think it's called, where you had to put across your numbers, financial performance. We used that section to show that we are not only looking at the external environment, we are building a business which is fair to our own people, to investors, to all of the others. Because if you can have the best of intentions, but if your business is not, built for the long run. If it's not handling business risk, that is also not sustainable. So, when you build that sustainability story, I think we got to make sure that we have that business sustainability case also very cleverly and clearly built into it to showcase you're handling risk better, you have a business case, you have a marketing case, and also your sustainability efforts are linking back to growth. So we spent a little bit of effort on that as well. So with that, I'll end. And if there are questions, we'd be happy to take. Thank you.
Thank you, Suranga. Thank you very much. Okay, so next we've got Martin Sears from Global Resale.
Well, good morning, everyone. Happy Friday. And thank you for inviting us to participate in this. And I hope we can perhaps provide a few tips along the way. So just a quick bit, I guess, a bit about my background and our business, and then maybe a tip or two of why and how you should apply. So first of all, I'm in my own role as I'm a director of services at a company called Global Resale. I've been in the industry for more than 25 years, so I've seen a lot of changes over that time, but we're involved in the circular technology sector. We started this business in 2016, based in Braintree, Essex. We employ more than 120 people and a turnover of over 120 million. So a reasonable sized business, but I also remember being very small and starting out. So I know the pains that many of you probably are thinking, as well as, even dare I say, at a scale trying to do these things. The challenges just changed slightly. In terms of, our organisation, just to put that into perspective on what this then meant to us is, so we'd like to be known as a company at the forefront of circular technology and best practice in quality, safety, data protection, and also the way we're able to then prolong the life of technology devices and increasing the value of used products. So we enable circular technology in an efficient and sustainable way with the aim of really transitioning a world where tech is consumed as a service for both business customers but also consumers. But behind that sits, we're not just a technology partner, we're also an enabler of the circular ecosystem. And the key challenges at this moment that we're all facing is obviously to use less resources, reduce CO2 emissions. And we believe by caring for what's already produced, we can help customers and partners to do that. So to do what is right. So that's a bit about our background and where we fit. So a couple of things really in terms of the actual Queen's Award that we did, but now King's Award. And I think one of the things that I know I've picked up on in the past and in some of these other similar events is, whether I should consider using consultants to help apply for this process. And I think one of the things, I'd like to make point of is, but firstly, I think you should know your own business well enough to not necessarily need to do that. And if I think back to, how we started, I was responsible for making the decision to apply for an award at the time, selecting the right category. And then really the point for how we started with that was really to coordinate colleagues to be able to complete those initial responses and to ensure we had the evidence to back those entries up. And then the second stage that you'll get familiar with if you decide to enter will be the diligence process around that. And again, ensuring you've got all the correct evidence to back that up. And I think if I then go on to why we applied for the Queen's Award at that time, and now, as I say, King's Awards, that was really because we recognised, well, in fact, it's fair to say, I think it's both nationally and internationally recognised, certainly from the feedback we got, by both the business community, but also the social sector. So I think unlike many industry awards that are often represent, a view of a particular part of your business or certain division or individuals, the King's Award is really about your business, your stakeholders, your employees, and I can't emphasize that enough. It's way more than just a standard recognised industry award. It goes beyond that, and it really represents the entire business, and therefore not just limited to a few people. And I think, just going back to what are the things you want to know. If you're familiar with things like international ISO standards, that will help you in how you could perhaps apply for that. It's a similar process where you're providing information and then having to evidence that. And I think lastly, very quickly, is I would absolutely recommend anyone to apply, because I think first of all, select the category you feel suits your organisation's achievements. Get your employees and colleagues engaged to support your journey. And I think, as I said earlier, even if you're not successful the first time, you will learn a lot from this process. You'll get great feedback and you can apply again in the future. So hopefully that helps, and happy to answer any questions later. Thank you, Serena.
Thank you, Martin. That was wonderful. Finally, we have got Nadia Harvey speaking to us from Jura Composites. Thank you, Nadia.
Thank you. So yeah, hi, I'm Nadia. I head up marketing for Jura Composites, which is a designer, manufacturer and supplier of composite products for industry. We are a privately owned SME based in Clacton-on-Sea with just over 100 very clever and very dedicated employees that we're very proud of. We're probably best known for our work in the rail sector, really kind of helping solve the problem of the gap between the train and the platform with a height adjustable fiberglass flooring system or station platform system. I'm going to talk a little bit about the marketing and employee engagement benefits the awards can bring to a business. So we applied and won our first King's Award back in 2017 in the category of international trade, and then we won again for innovation in 2020 in the lockdown time, which was quite an interesting way, a different way to communicate things with our staff and stakeholders. We did a lovely little video, and we asked people to hold up a piece of paper, a blank piece of paper, didn't tell them why, all our staff members who were on furlough, and then we did a video and overlaid the message that we'd won it onto the paper and played it back to them. And people really loved that. It was a really nice way to reconnect people during those challenging times. But we're really passionate about the business benefits the awards can bring and the benefits to the internal engagement and employee. So first and foremost, obviously receiving the King's Award brought a tremendous sense of pride and accomplishment for all our team members, because it's an external validation of all the hard work, the creativity, the dedication to pushing boundaries that really goes into developing innovative solutions. And for our team members, it's an actual tangible symbol of their success. So, you know, we fly the flag at both our premises. We've really celebrated it as a team with lots of different staff events. We've added the branding to all of our marketing assets and our livery so that the team can continue to connect with the awards in a really visual way, even after the initial announcement has passed. And the recognition gave us actually a renewed sense of confidence. This helped embed the culture of innovation within our company. So our company values were defined long before our award wins, and they're based on the acronym PRIDE, P-R-I-D-E, and those stand for purpose, respect, innovation, decisiveness, and encouragement. So winning a King's Award, which actually shares the name of one of our values, reinforces that we've got a genuine commitment to those values and demonstrates that they're being upheld throughout the organisation, which is a really great feeling for our team members, and definitely makes them feel more encouraged to put forward their own ideas for different new products, new processes, because that's where your best ideas come from. It comes from your people who work with them every day and who know who can really champion their benefits in areas which you may never have considered. It's definitely also enhanced our reputation in the industry because it's so widely recognised, as you heard from the Lord Lieutenant, as a symbol of excellence, and having it associated with our company brings a heightened level of credibility and trust from our clients and partners. And it really highlights our dedication to finding those innovative solutions that solve real world problems and which can, of course, benefit society as a whole. So in our case, it's helping people with mobility issues access train services more easily, or reducing passenger disruption because our platform system can be installed in as little as 36 hours. So the station reopens more quickly, people are able to get back on the trains. But it's definitely also opened up new opportunities for collaboration and strategic partnerships. So since winning both those awards, we've entered into a number of joint ventures, and there's no doubt that they've had a direct impact on the growth and success, particularly with our overseas partners. In terms of the application process, it wasn't actually as daunting as it first appeared. And it's a great opportunity to reevaluate our strengths and reflect on our own innovation journey. And in terms of learnings, I know Marcus and Suranga talked a little bit around what you can find out about yourself when you haven't necessarily been successful. You can also find out great learnings even if you are successful. So as a result, we identified some other areas for improvement. We tightened up some of our processes as part of the application, following the application process in the award win. We tightened up some of our processes for our intellectual property protection. So much that we now hold 15 different patents and 140 different design registrations for our product range. So that was a really nice learning and future benefit from us from the win. And definitely it's had a positive effect on our employees' motivation and engagement. It's excitement, it's enthusiasm, it's collaborative, people feel included, and they feel that they're part of something where innovation is nurtured and celebrated at all levels of the organisation. So you know, from our point of view, we couldn't be more passionate about it, and I would definitely encourage any Essex business thinking about it to really take the plunge.
Amazing, thank you, Nadia. Wonderful. Okay, so that's the kind of the past winners section. So thank you to you all for taking the time to talk to us. And there's I feel like a broad range of subjects and experiences there, from the application philosophy and approach and understanding learnings and mistakes between applications, and then they're just thinking about the organisational culture and business outcomes following winning. So it's really, really insightful. So we've now got time for questions for our speakers today. So you can either use the Q&A function to type your question and who it's for. Alternatively, you can virtually raise your hand using a button which should be at the top of your screen to ask your question verbally. So there's one in the chat already from Leanne. And I think, Chloe, I will direct this one at yourself, being from BEIS. So it's, hello, I represent a registered charity. Are charities eligible to apply for this award, or is there a different award specifically for charities?
Hi, thanks, Sharina. Yeah, I'm happy to take that question. Hello, everyone. My name's Chloe Palson. I am from the King's Awards office. We were BEIS. We are now actually DBT, the Department for Business and Trade. And so there's just been a merge with the Department for Trade. So we're now actually DBT. But very lovely to see you all today. And it's been so wonderful to hear from our current winners and the effects that the award has had on their business and staff. But just to take that question there, so not-for-profit organisations are eligible to apply. It depends what category that you are looking at. We do ask that not-for-profits are still able to show that are still able to identify performance and a degree of commercial success. For example, where operating surpluses are not treated as profit, but they're reinvested into maybe the organisation's activities, you would need to explain why there are losses or gains over your application period. Also, we do have many charities apply for the promoting opportunity category, and it might be that is the one that you are perhaps looking at, and we do find that many that is probably where we get the most charities apply. Also, for all categories, you must have at least 2 employees on your payroll. So it might be that if you are a charity and you don't have 2 full-time employees, that would put you out of the King's Awards for Enterprise. However, there are actually the King's Awards for voluntary service as well. So if you find that you don't fit into our eligibility criteria, it may be that you fit into the King's Awards for voluntary service instead. So I'm very happy to speak with you separately on looking at your company on in its own regard, but it might be that if you don't fit into one, you might fit into the other, and they are both a very highly recognised accolade. So very happy to talk to you separately about that.
Hopefully that answered your question, Leanne. Thanks for
hopefully that answered your question.
Thanks, Chloe. And Department for Business and Trade. I shall
it's very
update
recent.
that one. So there were a couple of questions shared prior to today's webinar, so I'll just go through those as well. So we've got one directed at yourself, Marcus. So it's quite a broad question. How should we complete or write the application?
Think really, really carefully. Read the question, answer the question. If you can't, it's actually a pretty logical test. And if, for example, in this, I'm going from my memory, both of our awards were for innovation, and the innovation needed to be tied to profitability, and that link between the innovation and the profitability of the company needed to be pretty clear. And you know, it couldn't be really an indirect affair. And if the innovation was superb and the profitability went up, then you had to show 3 years worth of trend. If the profitability trend was shallower, it was 5 years. You know, and those are some of the nuances of some of the questions. So you need to get them. Read the question. It's like an exam, right? And answer it. If you can't answer it, then it's worth progressing anyway, because you get some of that feedback. I also feel that the best people to be able to shape the story that links all of the questions, all of these very clear, specific questions together, is also really important. There's a golden thread that will run through, and that in my opinion, needs to come through to make sure that you're presenting a whole. And I think Martin touched on it earlier. There are people who offer services to help go through that process, but nobody knows your business better than you. Nobody knows, the reason you are successful is because you as leaders have created something. You have a vision, you have a passion, you have a storyboard, and that needs to come through as well. So my own view is don't outsource it. Maybe get help, but don't outsource the visioning and the storyboard. That's yours. You got to put in the effort yourself. So answer the question and roll your sleeves up. I hope that answers the question.
Thank you, Marcus. Chloe, be happy to take the next question in the chat?
Yeah, I'm happy to take the next question. I was also just going to touch on what Marcus just said there, if that's okay as well.
Yes, perfect.
But I completely agree with what Marcus, I think Martin said as well, about you will know your business the best. So although there are agencies that will help you with the application, you do know your business the best and you know how to tell the story. And that is what our assessors are looking for. They're looking to know why you believe your business should win the award, and you are best to tell that story throughout the whole application. And when you do register online, if you wish to, you can download a PDF version. So many businesses might maybe print that off and have maybe a working group within their team with people from different teams, maybe finance, whatever team they need to help bring that story together. But keeping that narrative throughout is really important. And yeah, just to touch on Ella's question, there is no limit on the number of winners. We would love to have as many winners as possible. Hopefully lots from Essex this year, being from Essex myself as well. But I think it's very much about the quality of the applications, but there is no limit at all. So yeah, please do apply. You can also apply for more than one category. I know it's one application is quite daunting and two is even more so. But if you do have time and if you start early, then you can apply for more than one category. It's quite often businesses apply for international trade along with innovation, and those two quite often go together. Likewise, you can apply 1 year for international trade, and then the next year you can apply for a different category as well. So there's lots of opportunities to be recognised.
Brilliant, thank you, Chloe. Just had another comment from Trevor in the chat saying that case studies like these are really useful, so thank you to everyone. It's great to hear. And also it wonders if it's worth building a database of these for Essex companies to access. It's a good question. Chloe, I don't know if there's anything that exists like that at the moment.
Sorry, what was that? My Wi-Fi cut out.
It's okay. Examples and case studies.
Yes, we do have. Yeah, we have our blog online, which shows some example case studies. We also have all of our social media, and also we do have our online press books and King's Award magazine. This year's one was actually published a couple of days ago, so I'm very happy to share links to all of that. So there's lots of examples online of our winners over the last 5 years. So if you do win, you are a winner for the full 5 years. So over the last, I believe all of our current winners, there's around 1,000 current winners. So there'll be plenty of examples. Even though every business is indeed unique, there'll be lots of examples that you can take a look at.
Wonderful, thank you for that.
Sharina, if I may interject on that particular point.
Yes.
I think there's lots of information that you can get from the database, which reflects case studies. And thanks, Chloe, for highlighting that. But within Essex, we have a bank of past winners, and you've met 4 of them today, who have made themselves available if people are getting a little confused with the process or would like to have a secondary conversation. If anybody reaches out to me, I'll connect you with the right person to facilitate that. So, as I say, we've got a bank of supporting businesses which have offered to assist the potential applicants.
Thank you, Keith. That's really, really helpful. Aaron, you had a question.
Yeah, thanks very much. Mine's a question on 2023 versus 2024. And apologies if any of this is detailed in the literature that I haven't studied fully yet. We're from Oakland Care, and we applied under the Sustainable Development last year, and we came extremely close, which we were very proud of. And so we're reasonably confident that with the progress that we've made, that this year should be a good year for us. But I guess before we go into it, is there any kind of evolve as the award or the criteria or the application process evolved in any way 23 to 2024? Are there anything that we really need to look out for that's going to be clearly different this year in terms of process or criteria compared to last, or do you feel it's fairly similar?
Yes, so each year our application forms are looked at in great detail to check that the questions are still relevant, if there's anything that maybe needs to be changed, if we find maybe applicants are getting confused with any questions. So there is just a general sort of update of the application form each year, but there hasn't been any sort of key changes or anything to the sustainable development category this year that you would need to worry about, or that would mean that you need to sort of find some different information on. So yeah, although the application form will appear slightly different, it's just part of our sort of yearly updates that we do, rather than a fundamental change to the eligibility criteria.
Okay, I appreciate that. Thanks, Chloe. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, Aaron. Thanks, Chloe. Okay, another question that we had prior to the webinar. So one for you, Suranga. So you won an award for sustainability, so it's around that. So sustainability is such a vast area. So what's your advice on the areas to focus on and the approach to really quantify sustainability impact?
I think looking back at our own experiences, the one that failed in 2018 and the one we succeeded the year after, I guess the difference was in that selection of the areas we could focus on. You know, I think the 2018 application, when I went through that again in preparation for this talk, was that, you know, we were focusing on all of the initiatives we were working on. You know, it was systematic. That application still looks solid for me, my eye. Other judges didn't think so, because I think there was too many things. And it is very hard to kind of build a storyline across from one question to the other, because when we sat back, I very well remember the team thought that, you know, it was all dealing. Answer to one question doesn't really relate to anything else. So we were picking, you know, all of the so-called good things that we believe we were doing, and just like, you know, a spread of things. But when I look back at the 2019 application, what we see is 3-4 initiatives coming up through every answer. So we looked at depth than the breadth. So we would look at how we were changing lives of 100 people more in detail, more holistically, than looking at all of the small farmers that we were working with. So I think that really has to be clearly thought out. I don't think there is a universally true answer for this, because we connected this to our purpose statement, and then we kind of, you know, brought everything in a link. It is almost that lining that I think Marcus was also talking about. There has to be that line which connects, you know, from the business performance to the sustainability efforts, to the inputs that you put, because you got to evidence all of that. So how do you evidence hundreds of different things, and then the impact of it, and how do you link it? So I think when you cleverly kind of put everything together, you got to choose that are very close to your heart, your purpose, the business's growth, as well as the planet's most pressing issues. I guess that's when you kind of do the selection and focus more on that. You can always mention the other things. We mentioned things that we do on the packaging front end, like building up the terrestrial ecosystem and all that, but those are not like core. Those were mentioned as supporting evidences and supporting, you know, themes. But the core theme was around 2 or 3 UN SDGs that we picked up, and then the activities we were doing. I don't know whether that answers the question.
Thank you, Suranga. Martin, I've got one for you. So should I consider consultants when it comes to the writing of my application?
Okay, I mean, I think I've sort of covered that off, and I think going back to the point, and I know several of us have now made that, is that, you know, clearly consultants can have a part to play, but actually we should all know our own businesses well enough. And, you know, I believe, you know, you should be able to complete these entries without needing to use those resources. And that's also part of positive learning curve that you'll go through as well, whether you're successful or not, that you will also learn more about your business. But you will have, bringing colleagues on board, your employees, your stakeholders, there will be plenty of knowledge in your own business to be able to apply for these and create the right entries. And then it's just a question of the evidence.
Great, that makes sense. Thank you, Martin. Chloe, sorry, I missed your hand just then.
That's okay. I was going to touch on Suranga's points from before, and just also it's reflected back on Aaron's question, just something that I thought of as he was talking. Although the criteria hasn't changed for the sustainable development category this year, we have actually sort of outlined more that businesses should look at the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. So although that's always sort of been something that the assessors have looked for, we're actually stating it more clearly this year. So for Aaron, just a tip for your application this year, look at how your company fits in with the UN Sustainable Development Goals. Thank you.
Thank you, Chloe. Okie doke. Got another question for yourself, Nadia. So it's a question about stakeholders. So who are the key stakeholders in your business that you should consider with regards to the storytelling for your application?
Yeah, so Martin kind of touched on this a moment ago, just to say that there is so much knowledge within your business. I mean, I'm from the marketing side. I head up our marketing team, part of the senior leadership team here. But and I actually wrote our entry, but and I know the product really, really well. And as you would expect, the MD and the head of finance, fed in to make sure that we had the correct evidence that was required. But we did talk to a range of different people within the business. So the salespeople who are selling the products were really well placed to help us highlight some of the less obvious or hidden customer benefits that don't necessarily form part of our traditional marketing. And in fact, our customers also gave us some really good facts and figures to help kind of supplement our entry, which was really nice. So you can even think about, from a storytelling perspective, involving your customers as part of the process, even if you don't necessarily want to be transparent about why you're asking them. But also, I think fundamentally the process is such a great opportunity to reevaluate your business purpose, like Suranga said, to ratify what your absolute core focus is. Is it operational excellence? Is it product or process innovation? Or is it customer intimacy? And how can you really evidence that with good facts and figures as part of your entry? So that's my advice, I think.
Perfect, thank you. Are there any more questions for our speakers today? Take that as a good sign if there are any more. Suranga, I think you had your hand up.
I just remembered a point that I wanted to make, which I forgot, because I think I don't know whether it's specific to the sustainability category, but maybe for the others as well, because there is a question about the CEO and leadership role on sustainability. So that I think is a very, very powerful area, and also helps you kind of, define the whole approach as well. So you got to really, I think in our case, we had to showcase the inputs from the CEO and the leadership team, the efforts. We went down to, because luckily we had certain things that we had measured, CEO time spent on certain areas, and that was like input measure, and there were a few others as well. And then how it connects to the business's purpose, and how the scorecards and the senior leadership team scorecards had a weightage for sustainability performance. So I think that whole question was powered with inputs that we had measured around the CEO and the leadership team's commitment to sustainability, which is also, I hope the judges, I believe that they took it seriously as well. Thanks.
Thanks, Suranga. Leanne.
Thanks, Sharina. I did pop it in the chat. So I'm from an Essex-based charity. We're a small charity who are a bereavement charity, supporting bereaved parents after the loss of a baby during pregnancy, at birth, or soon after. And what I was just thinking about what Keith said about that there's business people here that'd be happy to help out with applications. I'm just thinking maybe along the charity lines, would there be any past winners in Essex that have won on the charitable who are charities that would offer that same support? Obviously, as a small charity, it's deciding whether we have we've got 10 employees, but many are part-time, but it would obviously be a really big focus for us to do a piece of work like this, and just deciding whether actually are we ready before we spend a lot of time working on it, and maybe finding out when would we be ready, and be a bit more decisive rather than just throwing it in and going, oh my gosh, we spent hours and hours and hours of this, and actually we weren't probably at the right stage yet. So I'm just thinking it'd be nice to have a mentor from somebody in an Essex charity that could maybe help us just even making a decision whether we should go for it.
That's a really good question, Leanne, and I think the reason why we've got everyone together today, because it is about kind of, you know, helping each other kind of get through. So I did respond in the chat, so there is a contact that I've got in mind that I can share with yourself. Keith, did you want to come in as well?
No, other than to say, to be fair, I don't have anybody that immediately springs to mind that fits that bill, but that doesn't mean I can't find somebody. so I'll take that on board, Leanne, and we'll perhaps see what we'll reconnect separately if that's possible.
That'd be really helpful. Thank you, Keith. Sorry, Sharina, I didn't see that where it
No
popped up.
problem. That's okay. That's
Thanks.
okay. Jennifer.
Oh, hi. Gosh, that's all been so interesting and absolutely to the point. That, Leanne, your question, I'm sure, Keith, we could find somebody perhaps through our contacts with other lieutenancies if we can't find anybody in Essex.
Yeah,
that might be a thought. I also wanted to say that there was an extremely good presentation done by the organisation that used to be called BEIS for the lieutenancy, and one of the great strengths was actually listening to the evaluators talking very openly, actually, and there was such a strong message about this thing of having a narrative, and one of you, I think Marcus maybe, referred to a golden thread going through, and that came across very strongly. They wanted it to be cohesive. They also seem to want, but Claire, you may be able to you can say whether I'm right here, that they wanted to know what the challenges had been and if things had gone wrong, and how you'd actually sorted it out. So that's really my main contribution to this. But and I love the remark about the fact that the king really wants this to happen. He wants to celebrate our fantastic businesses, and we know we've got brilliant businesses in Essex, so let's go for it. And thank you, Sharina, very much indeed, and Keith, for all the work that you've done putting this together. I know I'm not the last speaker, so I'll stop now. Thank you.
Thank you, Jennifer. Appreciate it. Okay, if there are any more questions, please do just continue to raise your hand or type in the chat. But Trevor. Hello, Trevor.
Yeah, thanks, Sharina. I just wondered, Jennifer, is that video available? I mean, hearing from assessors is always really, really quite interesting.
Well, I don't think I'm in a position to answer that one. I don't know whether Chloe is.
I can check if that's able to be shared more widely. I know it was a presentation that was done to Lord Lieutenants a couple of months ago. But likewise, if anyone has any questions about the application form, we do have our helpline in our mailbox, which we often refer to our assessors. So although they come to us, if they are quite specific, our assessors are always available for us to reach out to them, and they will provide quite detailed answers to your questions if you do have any questions about the application form. They're very invested in the awards, and they're not civil servants. They're actually independent. They're independent from our team as well. We're just a team of 5 within the department, and we manage the process, whereas our assessors are the ones that look at your applications, and they're always very happy to look at on a case-by-case basis and provide advice. Yeah. Okay, thanks for that. Cheers.
Thanks, Kerry. That leads me nicely into sharing some time with yourself. So as we said, as I say, Chloe's here from the Department of Business and Trade, and we just thought it'd be useful to take a few minutes to have a reminder about the process side of things. Thank you, Chloe.
Yeah, thanks, Sharina. Yeah, I'll just give you a quick whiz through. I think everyone today has provided quite a good background already, so I'll kind of skip that part and jump straight into the actual application process. And so, as mentioned, we are currently open for applications until the 12th of September. I know that does feel like it's still quite a way away, but I would really encourage you to start as soon as possible. I can see Marcus nodding along there as well. So really, please start as soon as you can. Even if you really don't have to do it all in one go. You can dip in, you can come back out and save it. You can take as long as you need to do it. And also, you might, as I said before, you might wish to print off the application, discuss it with your colleagues. You might need to reach out to different teams across your organisation to source different pieces of information. So if you take one piece of advice today, is have a look as soon as possible and sign up to the application page. Secondly, so what happens after the applications close in September? They will then go to our team of assessors. They will look at them in great detail on a case-by-case basis, and they will provide a shortlist in October. If you are shortlisted, that is when we will reach out to you to provide audited financial figures. And now this is the only cost involved in the whole application. So the applications are completely free to apply for. The only cost involved may be if you have to reach out to a private auditor for your financial figures. And also from this year, that only applies to the international trade category and the innovation category. We no longer ask for audited financial figures for the sustainable development category or the promoting opportunity through social mobility category. So once that happens, we have our shortlist, obviously, and then after Christmas in the new year, we go to our judging panels, and each of these are chaired by a permanent secretary, which are the heads of civil service across different departments. They're really rigorous. Application in detail. And once that happens, we then have our final list that goes to the Prime Minister's Advisory Committee. Now, at this point, really, we kind of have our final list. And once that list is agreed, it gets personally signed off by the Prime Minister. He will look through the list of winners and he personally will sign them off. That list then goes to His Majesty the King, and he as well will personally sign off the list of winners. So it really is what it says. It really is a prestigious award that has His Majesty's approval. If you are successful in the award, your business has been personally approved by His Majesty the King. Once that happens, we have our announcement day. So we do tell businesses a couple of weeks before the announcement day, just so that you have time to sort of make any arrangements for celebration. I think, Nadia, it was your brilliant idea in your company of your online celebration call. So anything like that, we give you time to arrange, and we have the announcement day in May. We then start the process all over again. But for our winners, and one of the key benefits are that you are invited to a royal reception at Buckingham Palace that takes place in June or July. And as a winner, one person from each company is invited to the palace in the presence of His Majesty the King, and often a number of other royal family members as well as our His Majesty's Lord Lieutenants. And it's a really fantastic day. And there's many pictures online if you want to take a look. But that is actually happening on Tuesday this year it's the first of our King's Awards winners this year. Previously the Queen's Award winners. So this year is the first of our King's Award winners, and their royal reception is happening on Tuesday. So keep an eye on our social media next week, because there'll be some brilliant photos, I am sure, coming out. Another benefit of winning is that you will have your award and your trophy and your royal warrant personally presented to you by your county's Lord Lieutenant. And that will happen at your place of business. That again is a fantastic day. It's a really great opportunity for your staff to feel involved in the award, to celebrate all together. It's a huge boost to staff morale. I've seen one that Jennifer has done in the past online and videos, and they really do look fabulous. They're just a great day for everyone involved. And also, of course, you are allowed to use the King's Award emblem This year we actually have a new emblem in recognition of changing over to the King's Awards, and you can use that emblem on all of your products and services for 5 years. So that is globally recognised across businesses all over the world, and shows that you really are an outstanding British business, and that they really can trust that your business is one that they should be doing, that they should be working with. We have had many businesses tell us that having that emblem on their products has helped them to crack new markets overseas. Perhaps they were struggling to crack into Asia before. They were doing really well in America, but they just couldn't get into the Asian market. Having that emblem on the award allowed them to do that, and they're now able to. It really does open new doors, and that's not just for the international trade category, that is for all of our categories. So that's a quick whiz through of the process, and also some of the key benefits there as well. As I said, they are free to apply for. They are open to absolutely any business, as long as you have 2 full-time employees. What I would say as well is, please don't be put off if you think that your business is too small. It really does not matter. 91% of our businesses, of our winners this year, were SMEs, so 91% SMEs, and 15% were micro businesses. So please do not be discouraged if you think that this award is for those huge multi-million-pound businesses. It really isn't. And another key point as well is that we don't compare businesses against each other. You are awarded solely for your own merit and your own story. So you don't have to feel that you're in competition with other similar businesses or ones much larger than yourself. Each application is looked at on a case-by-case basis. And you are rewarded, for your business's own outstanding achievements. Yeah, I think that gives you a quick whiz through. As I said, I'm very happy to share anything else after the presentation today, and also answer any questions separately as well. But I'll share our King's Awards mailbox and helpline. But yeah, I just wanted to say again how lovely it was to hear from the winners today, and I'm sure they would all be very happy to support any businesses looking to apply this year.
That's wonderful. Thank you so much, Chloe. That brings us to the end of the webinar. So before I close, I'm just going to do a quick plug for an event that is taking place next Wednesday. To put some details in the chat, so it's an event hosted by Ambitious Women in Essex, which is a growing community led by Essex County Council to support and celebrate women in business in Essex. And at this particular event next Wednesday in Chelmsford, there are 2 past awards winners. So we've got Bioshore and Airline Component Services, who will be speaking at the event. There's also free lunch and drinks. I don't know if that encourages anybody else to go. But these are really, really great events. They're taking place quite regularly, but this one is particularly relevant to our conversation today. So I wanted to highlight that. So yes, thank you to everyone for taking the time today. It's been great to have like-minded people together to exchange thoughts and ideas with regards to the awards. As you can tell, there's a lot of opportunity to have help every step of the way. All of our speakers are available for you to reach out to. So you will get an email with contact details for these guys. A reminder, the webinar has been recorded, so a link will be shared with you also. So thank you all again, and have a great Friday.